If you're a doctor or nurse working in Dubai right now, something is already changing inside your hospital. The EHR you open every morning, the monitoring dashboard on your ward, the imaging queue your radiologist reviews, AI is already being embedded into all of it, quietly but quickly. And in many cases, nobody has actually explained what that means for how you work. And if you're a student, an intern, or preparing to enter healthcare in the next few years, this matters just as much because the environment you're about to step into is already changing. At the same time, the pressure on healthcare in this region is immense. It's growing. Dubai alone is projected to need 6,000 more doctors and 11,000 more nurses by 2030. The system is expanding faster than it can hire. Medical tourists from around the world are also arriving expecting world class care, fast diagnosis, and zero errors. So, hospitals are turning to technology to manage that pressure. AI is now being built directly into clinical systems. This is not something like a pilot program, it is infrastructure that is already being deployed. The professionals who understand how to work alongside AI, who know it, who know what it can handle, where it fails, and how to question it, will have a very different career trajectory from those who don't. So, in this video, we will break down three things. First, what AI is actually doing right now to reduce the workload of doctors. Second, how it is changing the daily workflow of nurses. And finally, the question everybody is asking: can AI actually replace doctors and nurses? So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, the real problem AI is trying to solve. So, before we talk about AI, we need to talk about the problem it is trying to solve. Because the hardest part of healthcare work today is often not the medicine itself. Ask any doctor or nurse what exhausts them at the end of a shift. And many will say the same thing: the documentation, the administrative work, the coordination between departments, and the time spent inside the systems instead with the patients. So, in effect, their patient facing time is substantially reducing. Ask doctors or nurses what exhausts them at the end of a shift, and many will say the same thing: the documentation, the administrative work, the coordination between different departments, and the time spent inside the systems instead of being with patients, or ineffective, or patient care, and the time spent inside systems instead of being with patients. Now, studies show nurses can spend around 18% of a 12-hour shift documenting care. Only documentation. For doctors, finishing clinical notes after hours is so common, it even has a nickname: pajama time. Over time, this administrative load has been one of the biggest drivers of burnout in healthcare. And this is exactly where AI is beginning to make a difference. Not by replacing clinicians, but by reducing the repetitive, data heavy work that surrounds the clinical care. To understand how that works, let's follow a single patient journey. So, what AI is actually doing for doctors? So, imagine a patient arriving with a chest pain. Now, before the doctor even enters the room, AI systems inside the electronic health record, that is EHR, can scan the patient's entire history, diagnosis, medications, lab results, previous notes, everything. Within seconds, the system surfaces the most relevant information. So the doctor walks into the consultation already oriented. Now, during the consultation itself, AI documentation tools can generate a draft clinical note while the doctor speaks with the patient. So instead of writing everything later, the physician simply reviews and edits the draft. Now, suppose imaging is ordered. AI tools can analyze the scan before a radiologist reviews it and flags patterns that may indicate urgent findings. Now, this helps with prioritizing which scans should be reviewed first and which can be pushed to later. Now, finally, when the doctor prescribes the medication, decision support systems automatically check for drug interactions, allergies, and dosage limits. If something looks unsafe, the system flags it immediately. So, across a single patient visit, reviewing records, documenting care, analyzing imaging, checking medication safety, AI is already reducing a large portion of data heavy work that doctors deal with every day. But once the patient is admitted to the ward, much of the workflow shifts to nurses. Now, let's continue with the same patient after admission to understand how AI is changing the workflow for nurses. Now, monitoring becomes one of the nurses' key responsibilities. Today, many hospitals use sensors and wearable devices that continuously collect vital signs like something like heart rate, oxygen levels, respiratory rate, blood pressure, etc. etc. AI systems analyze these signals in real time. Instead of looking at a single measurement, they detect patterns across multiple signals. For example, a rising heart rate combined with dropping oxygen levels may indicate early deterioration. When the system detects these trends, it sends an alert to the care team. The nurse still evaluates the patient and decides what action is needed, but the warning arrives earlier. AI also supports medication safety. Before medication reaches a patient, the system verifies the drug order against allergies, existing prescriptions, and dosage guidelines. If something looks unsafe, it flags the issue immediately. Documentation is another area where AI helps. Voice to text tools can convert spoken notes into structured entries and generate summaries for shift handovers. So, to summarize, AI systems help with care coordination, tracking tests, referrals, and follow ups across departments. So, across monitoring, medication, safety, documentation, and coordination, AI is already reducing many of the repetitive tasks that fill a nurse's shifts. So, this leads to the question many healthcare professionals ask, and it has been a very popular question among the entry level professionals. Can AI reduce doctors or nurses? But this leads to the question many healthcare professionals ask. Can AI replace doctors and nurses? If AI can review records, analyze scans, and monitor patients, can it eventually replace doctors and nurses? Well, the short answer is no. And I will give you four specific reasons for it. First, AI does not make clinical decisions. It can analyze data and highlight patterns, but diagnosis and treatment decisions still belong to the clinician. Second, many AI systems cannot clearly explain how they reached a recommendation. That means doctors and nurses still need the expertise to judge whether the output from the AI system makes sense or not. Third, AI cannot understand the human dimension of healthcare. Patients arrive with fear, family circumstances, financial limitations, and cultural expectations that shape treatment decisions. That context does not exist in medical data. And finally, the fourth point, complex cases still require human experience. AI performs best on recognizable patterns or repetitive work, but real clinical situations are often messy and unpredictable. So, the future of healthcare is not AI replacing clinicians, it is clinicians working alongside AI more effectively. So, which leads to the next question, what this means for your career. See, healthcare systems around the world are already integrating AI into everyday workflow. But many professionals are using these tools without formal training on how they actually work. In other words, technology is moving faster than the training, and that creates a clear divide. Some professionals simply follow whatever the system suggests. Others understand how the tools work, when to trust them, and when to question them. Now, these two groups will not have the same trajectory. In Dubai and across the Gulf, governments are investing heavily in digital health and AI. Platforms like NABIDH have already connected millions of patient records across healthcare facilities. Now, this means the hospitals you work in or will soon enter are becoming AI integrated environments. This does not mean you have to become a data scientist. It simply means developing enough AI literacy to understand how these systems fit into clinical workflow. Because the future of healthcare will belong to professionals who know how to use these tools responsibly. So let's come to the final takeaway of this video. Across hospitals today, AI is already reducing a large portion of the administrative and data heavy work surrounding clinical care. For doctors, it helps review patient records, draft documentation, prioritize imaging, and verify medication safety. For nurses, it supports continuous monitoring, medication checks, documentation, and care coordination. But AI has clear limits. It cannot make final medical decisions, yet, it cannot understand the human side of patient care, and it still struggles with complex cases that require clinical judgment. Now, what AI can do is remove some of the mechanical work between clinicians and patients. And the professionals who understand how to work alongside these systems will be better prepared for the future of healthcare. And this is exactly why building AI literacy in healthcare is becoming so important. In fact, it's very critical. Understanding how these systems work, where they help, and where they fall short is quickly becoming a core professional skill for doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals entering the field. So, if you want to develop that foundation in a practical way, we also run an AI and machine learning in healthcare training program designed specifically for healthcare professionals just like you. It focuses on how AI is actually used in clinical environments, from diagnostics and patient monitoring to healthcare data and ethical decision making. You can find more details in the link below if you want to explore it further. That's it for today. If you found this useful, consider subscribing for more practical insights on AI in healthcare. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.